Hi my lovelies, welcome back to my channel, and for everybody who is new, I'm Leorah and I'm so glad you found me, and I'm so glad that you clicked on this video because brows are so important, and that's what we're gonna do today. Now just imagine this makeup look but no brows. You know what that does to a balance in a makeup look, what it does to a face, you know? So I have come personally a long way in my brow application, and this video has been a long time coming. I have actually an old version of this video here on my channel. It's already almost 2 years old, and a lot has happened in my brow routine ever since. So it was really about time that I'm doing an update. Back then I was still using brow pencils. Now for about 2 months or so before I'm filming this video, I have started to use brow pomade, and I'm actually a huge fan. And it kind of, I don't know, I have gone kind of in the direction of Instagram brows. I don't think it is like super much Instagram brows, but you know, into the direction to make it work for me and to not look super over the top, but still well put together. This is how I see it. Of course, as in everything in life, there are a million ways to do things, and there are a million, also like a million styles and whatever, you know? So if this is not your style, then maybe you can get something else out of this video and just change it up so it fits you, okay? I also have to say that I've sort of been postponing this video. First of all, I wanted to just have more experience also applying the brow pomade, working with it, adjusting myself also in the whole thing, but also because I have been really intimidated to do my brows on camera because I have to talk while I'm doing it, when I'm filming this, right? Because usually when I'm doing this before I come on camera, I'm of course doing my brows first, or that's at least my style, and I'm talking about that also in the video a little bit, why I'm doing it that way. So I am always quiet, you know, I'm always quiet, nothing moves, you know, but when I'm talking and I'm trying to do my brows, like my face is moving and I'm moving, and that's why I was really intimidated to do it. But this is basically what I'm creating today on camera, and I hope this will be super helpful, because actually some people have asked me on an updated brow routine, so that is this. So I hope that this is going to be really helpful, and we're going to spend some chatty time together. It's not a tutorial like dry and I don't know, it's going to be chatty, it's going to be hopefully fun for you, and you can see what I'm doing. So that is that. So I hope you'll enjoy, and without further ado, let's go right into it. Okay, sweeties, good morning. Today we're gonna do brows, as you know, and this is how I look actually completely barefaced. Okay, the only thing that I've done so far is to tightline my this part, you know, the upper waterline, and what I've done is skincare. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the eyebrow routine. Alright, so what I actually start with is foundation, because as you probably have noticed, I do my foundation till here, and then I do my eyes, and then I finish the foundation off here, so I never have to worry about fallout, because maybe you can see that I do have some melasma here, not super bad, also because it's winter right now when I'm filming this, so my melasma is of course not as prominent during the winter, but during the summer, if I go outside a lot, then of course it gets dark. But anyway, that's not the topic today. The topic is of course the brows. So you of course have the option to do your brows last, you know. I personally prefer to do it first. I find it easier for several reasons. Let me just start working, because I'm going to otherwise drag this out forever. I hope you brought time, because brows for me take a long time. Okay, I'm going to put on some primer. Of course, everything I'm using you will find in the description box. All right, so I'm putting on some primer. And what I was saying was that I find it much easier to put on my brows first, because it gives me sort of a frame for doing my eyes later on. That is one reason, and also the other reason is that I find it really hard. Oop, what? Where did this come from? 1 second. So I find it really hard to, once my brows are done, to then put on my foundation around it and not mess up the brows, you know? So, but you can of course choose whatever is easier for you. I personally prefer it this way. It has been working for me super well, and that's why I'm doing it that way. All right, so this is where I'm putting the primer, and now I'm going to put on the foundation. So I'm going to probably in the video speed these parts up because you don't need to see me buffing in my foundation, right? Because that's just boring. Alright, sweeties, goofing off. Okay, now I'm basically just waiting a little bit for this whole thing to set, and maybe I should zoom you in because now it's actually the time where it probably gets a little bit more interesting for you because you came here for the brows, maybe. I hope you did. But anyway, so I'm just sort of getting rid of this excess foundation, and I'm usually just, I don't know, just with my fingers sort of swiping it off. I also do have glitter here everywhere because I'm right now working with a very, very glittery palette. So that's just part of my life. All right, now this is of course super, super perfect that I do have to have a pimple on my forehead when I'm filming something like that. But anyway, that's life. Now I'm going to go in with my setting powder, and I'm actually going to already set this part of my face. I always feel, maybe you also saw that I also went with the foundation like above my brows or like into my brows. Okay, that is for me personally, I think that is a good thing because I always feel like the brow pomade grips better if it has something to grip onto. Okay, so anyway, so I'm just slightly setting my foundation. I never use like huge amounts. Well, I guess it depends how you define huge, but anyway, just sort of, that's it. Okay, all right, let's just clean this up, and of course I have setting powder everywhere. Okay, so now what do we need? It depends. It depends what kind of a makeup style you have when it comes to your brows. Now I have a whole little tub here of the things that I'm using and also the things that I'm not using anymore, but let's go through it. You can of course do the whole thing also with a brow pencil, but I'm going to personally use the brow pomade. This one here is from Kiko Milano in the shade 03. It's also going to be in the description box. I think this is called Redheads, but it works super, super well for me color scheme wise. Like there's no color scheme color wise, you know, it works super well for me. But I only bought this because I was waiting for the brow pomade, what is it called, brow something from ABH to get to me, and it took like 2 weeks and I didn't want to wait to start practicing, you know. So that is what I'm using. And for a brow powder, because I just don't have the right brow powder for me color wise. Okay, so I went through my palette, and that is something that you can totally do if you have palettes that you're not using, or that you, I don't know, where you just want to use certain shades. I found this one. This is the Royal Affair palette from ABH, and honestly I got this as a gift, and that's super, super sweet. I'm just not going to use this for the color scheme really on my eyes. So I went through my palette and I found this so I can do my brows, and I use certain shades here as brow powder, and I'm using this one right here, I'm using this one, and then I'm using this one. Okay, so anyway, that is that. So let's go in. You do need a brush for applying the brow gel if you're choosing to use brow gel. There are different kinds, all kinds of different kinds. I'm just going to give you 3 options. There are probably more, you know, this is just what I have here. Sorry for my hand, it's really, you know, winter hands. All right, sweeties, so I'm always going for the shorter stubby one because I feel it is less, it's stiffer, you know. The longer they get, the more bendy they get, I feel, and then it gets harder for me personally to be precise. And then I also have a tiny little brush like this for then later on applying the eyeshadow on top of the brow pomade. And that is basically what I do. And I also have, and where has it gone now? It has magically disappeared. Ah, here. Sorry, a spoolie. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to brush my brows upwards with a spoolie. That is the first thing, and especially when you haven't done your brows, you know, carved them out, pulling out hairs, whatever, it's going to sort of give you a good idea to where your natural line is, you know, your natural arch and all of that. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with the brow pomade. And I'm going to just move my mirror a little bit closer, because for that I always feel it is good that I have a mirror that is sort of coming up from the bottom. This is my magnifying mirror, and then I also have two mirrors, one here and one here, that are like normal mirrors. And I always feel like it helps me to have all of that, you know? So it just helps me, you know? Yeah, so anyway, I need a lot of help. Okay, so now let's just go in. And the most important thing I would say is, if you want to do it like I do, and of course there are super many styles to do your brows, the most important thing, if you ask me, is that you don't go in from right on the bottom, but something like here, you know? And what I do is I'm just sort of drawing a line up here towards my natural arch, something like that. Okay, and I'm starting on the bottom, not on the top. Okay, I'm starting on the bottom. And then when I reach sort of my natural arch, and of course you can sort of also adjust that later on, it's not a big deal, and I'm going to show you what I do to adjust things. Okay, I'm just drawing the arch and then go down. Now here I'm always playing around, because it also depends what kind of style of eye makeup I'm planning. When I'm planning to do a look that is like a super winged out cut crease, I'm going to do shorter brows that maybe end around here, so they don't interfere with my eye makeup. But in general, I like it when it curves down like a lot, you know? I find that is flattering, so that's why I do it. But of course you have to adjust it to your own face, you know? But yeah, I think you can still use certain techniques here and just adjust it to your own face. Okay, so now that we have done that, I'm gonna go in on the top part here. And I'm basically also just drawing a line that gets thinner towards the natural arch here, to the high point of the arch. Okay, so you can see that it sort of is like an elongated triangle. Okay, it gets thinner towards here. Now I'm just going to fill this out with the brow gel that is already on my brush. And then I'm just going to sort of close the, I don't know, close it. Okay, so anyway, this is how it looks. Okay, so this is definitely not perfect yet, but it's also not really, when it comes to brows for me, it's not really about perfection. I don't know how to do it perfect. I don't know how to do these super perfect Instagram brows that just look like they have been done by angels. I don't know how to do that, you know? But yeah, I also don't know when you see them how much is Photoshop, honestly, you know, because like whatever. Okay, so now I'm just going in with a tiny little bit more product, and I'm sort of just building up this line a little bit here on the bottom, on the lower edge, I guess. And sort of then I'm starting to just slowly work my way towards this part. Okay, so I'm not putting on more product, and I'm just slowly going towards the inside of my brow. I don't know, how does one say that? The inner part, the biggest part. So of course the goal is to sort of fade out the brows, so they don't start up here with this boom. Okay, so there is of course a style that wants you to do that. Okay, so if that is your style, then of course do that. But I personally feel that it looks very flattering if it sort of fades away a little bit when, you know, the closer you come towards your nose. So I basically just keep doing that without a lot of pressure, and also without a new product. And that is basically all I do. And now I'm going to look into my normal mirrors and see what I've done. Now you can see that I have pretty much a dent here, okay, which I didn't see while I was looking here into my magnifying mirror. That's why it is so important that you also have some kind of other mirror if you tick like me, you know. Maybe you don't need it, but I definitely need it. Okay, so I go in with more product now. And I'm basically looking more into my normal mirrors than into my magnifying mirror. And then I'm just going to sort of work on this dent here a little bit. Now you have to be, of course, a little bit careful now, because you cannot just keep drawing up and up and up, because your brows are going to get huge. So that's basically what it is. And I can see that I'm finding it really, really hard to talk while I'm doing this, because usually I don't talk when I'm doing stuff like this. That is like super fine work, where we're talking about millimeters, or I don't know what that is in fragments of inches, or I don't know. I'm always thinking in millimeters because I'm basically European born, so that's how we think. When you're talking about tiny little spaces, it is, you know, it is kind of really, really fast. You just ruin it all. Okay, so that is basically what it is. I always do like basically a straight line up to the high point, and then I curve it down whichever way I want, whichever way suits my makeup application on that given day. Okay, so that is basically it. Now the most difficult part though is to match the other one, the other eyebrow, to this one. So I'm going to try this now. This is every single day it is difficult, and even if you, for example, use a stencil, eyebrow stencils, it's a thing, right? You can buy eyebrow stencils, but because we are not made like a perfect machine, the chance or the risk is really, really high that it's going to look ridiculous on you. Feel free to try. It might work on you, but for me personally, I've not tried it, but I kind of feel like I'm different on each side, you know, on both sides I'm different. I also see it when I'm applying eyelashes, falsies, that this falsie always has to be 1 millimeter shorter than this one, or that, I don't know, I just feel how different I am, you know. So that's why I'm not going to go into stencils, but I'm going to try to just recreate this on this side. Okay, so I'm probably going to speed this up, but yeah, okay, wish me luck. Okay, sweeties, this is more or less, they're related. Let's put it that way, okay? They're not identical twin sisters. They are related. They're distant cousins, you know? And that is okay. So basically what I'm doing now is that I'm going in with my palette here, with the brow powder and my fluffy brush. And I'm actually gonna start with this shade here. And I'm fluffing this a little bit into the very, very first part here. You might not even have to do this. I just feel like I want to. So that is what I'm doing. And then I'm gonna go to the next deeper shade that I wanna use. That is this one. That's like a true taupe shade. This is the shade Empress, in case you do have that palette. And that is what I'm using basically for the whole middle part of my brows. Now this might not even make like a super big difference here. I could probably just use this shade here for the whole brow, but anyway, that's how I do it. So basically till about this, the high point here, I'm putting on that shade Empress, and then I go into the shade Majesty, this one, and apply that here. There you might see a little bit of a difference. I just like it when it gets a little bit darker, but in a subtle way, so that it's not like overpowering. And what I really like about this way of application is, and you will probably know what I mean, it's hard for me to explain. You will probably know what I mean when you follow people on Instagram. There are certain people who do carve out their brows, I guess, after or something, I don't know, but they have this white streak going from one side, like above the brows and underneath the brows. They have this white streak going around their brows, and for me personally, that just doesn't look good, you know? Like, at least use a concealer when you're carving out your brows. At least use a concealer or foundation that fits the rest of your face, you know? That is, I think, also a mistake that a lot of people do, that they use their concealer to cover their brows that they use here, you know, and that is usually a shade lighter than their normal foundation shade. And you should really, for carving out your brows, use something that looks like your skin, like your foundation, you know. Yeah, but anyway, what am I doing? Okay, let's go in with this shade here. So I'm going to carve out my brows in just a second. I'm also going to show you what I'm using. Okay, I personally probably like this one a little bit more. This one looks thinner to me for some reason, but yeah, so basically that is it, you know. I told you they're related, and that is basically then good enough for me. You can still also go in with the rest of the product that is still on your brow brush or with a brow pencil or whatever, and then still adjust a tiny little bit. Okay, yeah, something like that. Anyway, so that is basically what I do. Now the only thing that still has to be done is to carve out the brows. Now for that, I'm using a concealer, like a small concealer brush, which looks like this. Maybe I should just show you. And then I'm just using a concealer which looks similar, if you can see, similar to my foundation shade, okay? If I compare it to my normal concealer, there's labels everywhere. Maybe you can see that there's a difference. This is the concealer that I'm using here, and this is the concealer that I'm using exclusively to carve out my brows, okay? So I'm just taking it like this, a little bit on the brush, and now I definitely cannot talk. I just cannot, because I'm going to ruin this otherwise. I'm going to lean my hand a little bit against my cheek to be a little bit more stable, and then I'm just going to carve out my brows. So this is basically how it's gonna look, and I'm not going to draw this down much further. This is basically all you need to do. I think the only advice I want to give you for this is that it should come out straight from here, you know, from the inside. It should come out straight. It should not come like on a curve or something. The curve is really meant to be after the high point, you know. So, and then the only thing what I do is I take like a small packing brush and I'm just sort of buffing this away, and then I'm using that exact same brush to apply or to buff in my my eyeshadow primer, you know, so they sort of flow together. I'm using the one from Sigma right now. Let me just, I'm holding too many things. That's amazing. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to put on my eyeshadow primer. And then I'm using exactly that same brush, and I just sort of buff it in, and then I'm done. So this is usually then the point when I am coming on camera to do eye makeup with you, you know, that is always the point. And now you know. And I'm kind of glad that now I have an updated version of my eyebrow routine, because there is an older version already here on my channel, but things have kind of changed, you know. Also the products have changed, and of course always under every video you will find the products that I'm using also for my brows in the description box or in a pinned comment, depending on where I have room. Okay, so that is it, and now you know. Okay, so this was it, my brow routine. And again, I hope this was helpful for you, that you can sort of try to make this, what I just showed you, match your own situation, your own face, your own preferences, and all of that. Of course, also using the colors that suit you and all of that. So I hope this was helpful. Please, of course, leave me your comments in the comment section down below. You will, as always, find everything that I've used in the brow routine, and also, of course, for the rest of my face, linked in the description box down below. You will also find all my social media contacts there, because if you want to see more looks and stuff, filmed and unfilmed, everything you will find on social media. And of course, you will also find my discount codes and all of that. So browse around on my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, because I would absolutely love to have you here. Give me your feedback, and I shall see you here next time for my next video. And up until then, definitely go ahead and sparkle. Hugs and kisses. Bye.